Hi, I'm Doug.
And I'm Cathy.
And this is Maggie Mae. Join us as we follow the moon. Today we are at the Presidio La Bahia, which is a fort from the Spanish. In 1749 it was built. There's so much history around here. It's a little town called Goliad, Texas. And this is one that you definitely won't want to miss.
Absolutely.
Put this on your bucket list because this place is amazing. I'm sure you'll be amazed with everything you see on the video today, just as much as we are seeing it here in person.
Come along.
And the Presidio La Bahia is where we're going to start today. This is a fort that was built in 1749 and went under restoration in 1966. They did show us a couple photographs, and it looked nothing before the restoration like it does now. It's had 9 different flags fly over it, including flags from Spain, from France, Mexico, and United States over the years. Lots of battles.
It literally did look like it was just ruins.
They've done a remarkable job, and it looks pristine. It looks like you're back there in 1749 looking at this structure. It's absolutely amazing. Now this is what the land looked like where it was built. You can see a bit of a hill there in it, and that hill was a site of battles way back beyond 1749.
There was actually a point where natives would do smoke signals to the coast and over to San Antonio.
And as flat as this country is, a hill and a water source, the San Antonio River, really is what made this valuable property. They've got quite a nice museum there, including that's the remnants of a cannon, and they would fill those cannons and then shoot them off so they would explode, so that if they couldn't take them with them, nobody else could use them. Now there's a couple of graves marked inside the fort. I'm not really sure of the significance of each one, but that was one of the two. As you look, this is inside the fort. It's massive. It's an entire city block, roads going all the way around it. This is one of the barracks, and they're set up to give you an idea of what they may have looked like back in the day. They all had fireplaces in them. And you could see as you went along, it was probably going up in rank because there were fewer beds and more living space in each one. There's a well out there, which I'm sure was their source of water for the compound. And then they had an area over here where they were doing their blacksmithing and taking care of keeping things maintained. And then you'll see this being built out here. You'll go through a gate. You're still inside the fort, but this area is gated off separately. There's a little courtyard out here. It goes up a ramp to the corner where there's a cannon. There's a lookout turret. But that part that you saw built out there is actually the chapel, Our Lady of Loreto Chapel. And again, beautifully restored. A lot of artifacts. And it's still being used for services. It's open to the public that you can go in through the week. Saturdays, it's open part of the day, and Sundays, it's closed because of the services. But it is a beautiful little chapel right there in the fort.
Yeah.
Now this marker talks about Colonel Fannin. And Colonel Fannin was in one of the big battles there, and it was a huge defeat. He was captured. He was put in a chair and blindfolded. He offered his gold watch if he would be buried, and they took his gold watch. He was left in a ditch. He was later moved to this site where the monument is, and he, as well as all of his men, were massacred on that site, and their bodies were burned. I think you said it was over 400.
I think so, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was a lot of men and young men.
Mm-hmm. And so that monument, that's actually on the site where the massacre took place. Right across from that is the Angel of Goliad, and it's a statue remembering Francisca Alaves. And she worked with Mexican officials to save Texas prisoner of wars, not only some of the POWs after the massacre, but also in Victoria, Texas, and Capano. Now, General Ignacio Zaragoza has a statue here, and he was in charge of the troops fighting France, and in a surprise move had a victory against France, which happened to happen on May the 5th of 1862, and that was when Cinco de Mayo was born.
Yes.
It wasn't actually Mexico's independence, but it was his win in a surprise fight against France. This is his birthplace. They've set it up, 2 of the 3 rooms as a museum, and the 3rd room to show you what the living quarters would have been like when he was alive. Just up the road, a few blocks actually, is the Goliad State Park and Historic Site. And this is home to the Mission Espiritu Santo. This again was in ruins, and the Civilian Conservation Corps stepped in the 1930s and helped to rebuild it.
I believe this was the 3rd place that its 3rd site that it was actually set at.
Yeah, in their museum they show a map of the places it had been, and it was all kind of along the San Antonio River. You can tell the river was kind of the main artery there. I had a chance meeting with a gentleman who was there to see this. He said the last time he was there was 55 years ago. The tile wasn't there, there was no roof on it, so it's really had a lot of restoration work done to it over the years. And they did have a little diorama of the inside of this, what it was to look like back in the day. There were no pews in it. People knelt on the floor. Now there is another mission, and we'll show you a little of this later on, that was just left in ruins, but this is a piece of the wall that was salvaged there, so they have an idea of what the colors actually were and how they were constructed. Along the side of this, you'll go into the doors of the museum, and the museum is actually what used to be the granary. There's a diorama of what the complex would have looked like back in the day.
So much history here. You figure from the mid-1700s forward, that's a lot of stuff. And there were so many battles fought here in this area.
Now, this is what they call the last wall standing, and this is the original walls, and it's the only spot in there that the walls are actually the original walls that have been left. This also will show you the Spanish missions throughout Texas. If you haven't seen our video on San Antonio, we did the mission walk there. We'll put a link to it up top.
Yeah.
You'll also see back here the stone walls. Those stone walls were actually the priest quarters back behind the granary. And then the building over on the left was the school and workshop. But you will see a few other places like that where you can see the chimney where it was. This is looking up along the side of the school and workshop, and they have set up inside it a few things as far as how they were weaving cloth and the tools that they used, and how life looked back then. But it is absolutely taking a step back in time, and it is done so well. It's not feeling that you're just standing amongst ruins and having to try to imagine it. It's done so well.
Yeah.
At the back of the property, you'll come to the Aranama Nature Trail. This is also part of the park. And we took a walk down there. You can see the San Antonio River down there, as muddy as it is, but it's moving right along.
Yeah, it was.
And it's a nice walk. It's, I believe, a third of a mile in a loop. And there are a couple places with steps, and there's a couple of bridges. When you're at the back of the loop, you'll come across this area. And that's a big kiln that was actually put in by the Civilian Conservation Corps. And they used clay that was mined right there and made the tiles for the inside of the mission during the restoration. That would have been back in the 1930s.
Yeah.
And those are little ants that cut the leaves and take them back to their nests. So if you see little leaves moving on the ground. And this is their campground. It is a state park. They've got a nice up to 50 amp and water connection campground there.
And they had a dump station there.
Now the old railroad bridge is just as you go up in towards town. It goes across the San Antonio River. There are no tracks there any longer, but you can still see the bridge there. And some of the things I was reading online, people will still go out to the bridge and fish off of it. But it's nothing but the metal work, and the tracks are there. The wood is all gone off of it. And just around the corner from it is the Stoddard Collins House. That home was built probably in the 1840s, but could have been as early as the 1820s. And it's believed to be the oldest house in Goliad.
Bear in mind that the city itself had been destroyed completely with all the wars.
Now this is the county courthouse right in the middle of the downtown. It is a beautiful town square with this courthouse sitting right in the middle of it. And you can tell how proud they are of their history. One corner has the World War I memorial, another one has the World War II memorial. This is one commemorating Santa Anna's surrender being ratified. And this one talks about the tornado in 1902. It was one of the most deadly tornadoes in Texas history. This was their hanging tree.
Justice was served immediately.
Yes. And the rest of the downtown, you'll see bank above that doorway there. They went around the trees. I mean, it looks like Old West, but there's still trees out in the middle of some of the streets that you drive around. It is just a really, really cool little downtown.
You do get the feeling that it's exactly the way it was, other than it now has paved streets.
Maggie met a new friend there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful little downtown, lots of shops. You can tell the buildings are old. Some of them have dates from the late 1800s and the early 1900s. The red building down there is their Market House Museum. but it really is like taking a step back in time. Now that commemorates John Mason Brewer, who was a black poet and author, and that marker is placed right in front of the town library. And another little thing I thought was interesting, this is a marker for the Bull Durham tobacco wall. That was discovered as, it used to be an outside wall, it was covered over with drywall and made into an interior wall, and they found it by accident when they were renovating.
That was pretty cool. A lot of antique stores there.
Mm-hmm. Some little restaurants and delis, and really a neat downtown. And all the buildings have historic markers on them. They're all old of the era. Just a nice place to go take a nice leisurely walk around town. Now about 4 miles outside of Goliad, on Route 59, you'll come across the Mission Nuestra, Senora del Rosario. This one is a mission that all that's left are the ruins. And you can see where the walls would have been. They have guessed at what it would have looked like, what the layout of the mission would have been. But they have done something here that I've never seen done anywhere else. It is fenced for its protection, but this is an artist's engraving of what the mission would have looked like that you can look through the glass and see.
That's pretty cool.
Well, we leave you today at the hanging tree.
No!
No, we would never do that. But Cathy, what did you think about our day at Goliad?
This has been awesome. It really has. It's just so neat. All the history here, it's amazing.
If you saw our video that we did on Port Aransas and Aransas Pass, we kind of stopped over here by the historic areas, by the state park, kind of by accident. And it was so much more than what we had any idea. So we had to come back and spend a day.
Yep.
We're staying down at San Benito right now, which is about 3 hours south, worth every bit.
Absolutely.
Of 6 hours of drive today for
Yep.
this. This place is incredible, and definitely find it on the map, pin it, and mark it on your spots to come see. You definitely will not regret it.
That's right.
So with that, as we leave you today, you'll find a button up in this corner. Click that, you can subscribe and ring the notification bell so you'll know when all of our videos come out. And if you enjoyed our content today, which we sure hope you did, leave us a like. We do appreciate it.
And thank you for following us as we follow the moon.